Geologists and archaeologists encounter them all over the world. Huge ancient walls made of colossal stone blocks, the origin of which is hidden in the darkness of time. In Tibet in the 20th century, Europeans found ghost walls, structures protecting a separate region of Tibet, the Giant Sea Plain. In favor of the fact that these are artificial structures, says the fact that the walls have gates the same height and turn at right angles. However, their surface is so corroded by time that it is impossible to imagine their original appearance. In Spain, in the valley of the Guadalupe River, there is a megalithic wall finished with shaped stone blocks. Official science calls it an aqueduct, although the photo shows that there is no aqueduct, and there is a huge, massive wall, facing which survived only in one place. In Syria, on the island of Arwad, there are the remains of a huge wall made of multi-ton stone blocks. Official science attributes it to the Romans, but the island is mentioned in the book of Genesis, which suggests that the structure is much older than the Romans. Many researchers believe that the wall was destroyed in ancient times by some cataclysm. Now locals use the blocks as building material. In the United States, in the state of Montana, there is a wall similar to the megaliths of Mount Shoria. Similar structures are found in Canada on Cape Breton Island and in British Columbia. 150 years ago, settlers found a stone wall in Texas. Unlike the megaliths of the Old World, it was completely covered with soil. Today, about 20 kilometers of the wall have been uncovered from the ground. Who and when it was built, it is unknown. In Brazil, in the municipality of Cabeceiras, there is a megalithic structure called Saca de la, which translates as wall sacks. These are the remains of a huge wall that once stood here, now resembling bales of wool stacked on top of each other. The stone blocks are laid in lockstep without mortar, a wall so ancient that everything else has been reduced to ashes. There are walls at the bottom of the ocean. For example, in the Republic of Fiji, divers are offered to swim along a huge white wall, which goes into the depths of tens of meters. Those who have seen it assure that the wall is man-made and strikes the imagination. Some scientists believe that it is a remnant of rocks which appeared in the process of weathering, but others are sure. The entire eastern part of Russia, from the Urals to Kamchatka, is covered with a network of megalithic walls, the age of which is impossible to calculate. Maybe they are millions of years old. Amazingly, but among the enthusiasts engaged in the study of the walls, many geologists, archaeologists, and anthropologists. Although official science does not recognize their findings, they have not given up hope of finding the truth. 40-meter long megalithic wall of 200 meters was found in Gornaya Shoria in Soviet times. The discovery was made by geologists from Kamushki settlement of Mezhrakensky district. Studies of the wall, named Shuruk-Quillam megalithic complex, began only at the end of the X century. In 2014, the wall was thoroughly studied by 19 geologists with mountaineering skills. Their research was not unambiguous, but they could not explain the origin of megalithic blocks weighing 1,000 tons, 20 meters long and 5 to 7 meters high by various types of rock fracturing, especially since in some places polygonal masonry is clearly visible in the wall. Another megalithic wall in Siberia is Koyskoye Belgory in Krasnoyarsk Krai. The wall is 600 meters long, lined with already half-destroyed stone blocks, which crumble from it on both sides, leaving bizarre compositions. A similar formation was found 30 kilometers from Magadan. When the researchers guessed to combine the disparate megaliths into one whole, it turned out that the remains of the ancient wall stretches from southwest to northeast to the Bering Strait. The Tagonoskoreks tell legends according to which the wall was built by ancient flying people. They believe that all the iron used by their people was left behind by these unknown people. The Urals have their own megalithic structures. These are the Chertovo-Borodische, the base of which is formed by castle masonry, and the famous Arachol Shikini, which stretch for 2 kilometers and whose height on the eastern side is from 30 to 60 meters. According to archaeologists, in the south, the Ural walls have an artificial continuation in the form of earthen ramparts that stretch all the way to the Caspian Sea, forming the Great Ural Wall. It is not known who built them. Some archaeologists believe that these are the structures of the Sintashta civilization, built 5,000 years ago. Others attribute the ramparts to a much older period. We also find walls built by polygonal masonry, following the example of Peru. For example, in 1978, in the upper reaches of the Vivi River near the Putarana Plateau, Evenk Chapoga found in a ravine wall of an ancient city made of huge stone blocks. From above it was covered with soil, but the collapse exposed 50 meters of stone masonry. The city of Bogatas. That's what the hunter who returned to the settlement called the place. However, this discovery did not arouse enthusiasm in the USSR. It was too far away. Remains of a wall made of polygonal masonry were found in Caucasia. All megalithic walls have signs of violent destruction. Megaliths of the Urals, Gornaya Shoria, Magadan, Krasnoyarsk territory, Montana and Canada are equally melted, in some places covered with soot. On the tops of the walls there are scorched holes in the stone. Anthropologist and writer Georgy Sidorov believes that the megaliths of Siberia were destroyed by thermonuclear strikes. This is evidenced by 30-meter megaliths bent by the temperature. Aqueduct in Spain is similar to the burnt 80 centimeters deep hills of Sodom and Gomorrah, which Israeli archaeologists recently discovered. Apparently, the wall cladding survived by chance. Recent expeditions of journalist Nikolay Sabotin in Central Asia allowed to find the same burned tens of centimeters deep walls in the ancient city of Merv. The wall on the island of Arvad was destroyed by an unknown catastrophe. A structure in Texas is buried under layers of earth. At least half burned or destroyed ghost wall in Tibet. This means that we have before us artifacts of some ancient civilization that did not survive the cataclysm. What was it? World atomic war, modified napalm that was used to bomb the earth from space, or the biblical flood during which coals and sulfur also fell from the sky. People still divide the earth into spheres of influence and build walls. Israel fences off Lebanon, the US from Mexico. A concrete wall rises on the border of Egypt and the Gaza Strip. Barricades are erected between Kuwait and Iraq, Malaysia and Thailand, Saudi Arabia and Yemen. So, in ancient times, countries were also fencing each other off. True, despite the blossoming of technology, our scale is smaller. But maybe these walls were not built by people. There are several hypotheses on this subject. First, some of them may indeed have been built by ancient humans. Civilization flourished, grew to the scale of the planet and self-destructed. Not without reason Plato wrote about the catastrophe that befell Atlantis, and the ancient Chinese were horrified when describing the events of the past. The earth overturned like a potter's wheel. All animals perished. Only a handful of people survived. The sky collapsed and fell to the north. The stars began to move eastward, and the sun turned black. It could have been a nuclear war, the flood, during which sulfur also fell from the heavens, or it could have been a catastrophe, the fall of an asteroid, the meeting of the Earth with a comet, or a change of poles. The second hypothesis suggests that the creators of the walls could have been beings of another race. Even the Bible does not deny the fact that some giants and sons of God lived on earth. There are many interpretations of this passage from the Bible, but there is no convincing explanation. This gives room for fantasy to scientists, writers, and occultists who claim that there were Lemurians living on the earth before. The question remains open: where are their remains? But if different races lived on the planet, it explains the construction of the walls. it was difficult to agree. Finally, there is a theory that the flying people were aliens from outer space, the notorious Anunnaki, who tried to subjugate humanity, built walls between their possessions, and when nothing happened, bombed the planet and flew away. The final answer to the question of who were the creators of the walls, there is no. Too little official science pays attention to such artifacts, too reluctant to spend money on this government and official science and turn away from the facts. For example, the megalithic complex found by the Japanese at the bottom of the ocean near Yonaguni Island was ignored by science. The study of the structure was carried out for 10 years by an enthusiast, seismologist and geologist Ryuhyu Kimura, who managed to prove that at the bottom there is a rock, which ancient people hewn for a temple. Nothing is still known about the civilization that did such titanic work. Join our channel for exciting content, stay updated with the latest videos, and be part of our growing community. Hit that subscribe button now, give this video a thumbs up, and let us know your thoughts in the comments.